The escalating sophistication of these tools is transforming cyber conflict. Fundamentally, speed becomes the critical advantage. When attacks happen in milliseconds, human operators simply can't respond quickly enough. This creates pressure to develop automated defense systems that detect and counter threats without human approval. For law enforcement and intelligence agencies, GenAI has eliminated tedious aspects of cyber investigations. AI-powered search engines extract relevant information from massive datasets, identify digital footprints, and connect seemingly unrelated evidence, tasks that would take human analysts months to complete. The race to develop these next-generation intelligence capabilities is reshaping the global balance of power. The nation that masters AI-powered espionage will possess unprecedented visibility into adversaries' plans, capabilities, and vulnerabilities, creating an intelligence advantage that could persist for decades. The strategic implications extend beyond individual security breaches. China aims to establish itself as the world's dominant AI power by 2030, with intelligence applications being critical to this plan. The country's investments in AI for economic espionage align with broader goals of accelerating technological development and reducing dependence on Western innovation. Forecasts suggest China's technology sectors could represent nearly a quarter of its GDP by 2026, more than doubling their current contribution. This advancement is fueled by a comprehensive strategy including both legitimate research and illicit acquisition of foreign technology, with AI-powered espionage playing a crucial role. The information battlefield: China's propaganda apparatus. The technological espionage is only half the equation in China's strategy for digital dominance. Behind the AI algorithms and autonomous hacking systems lies something potentially more powerful: a propaganda machine that's evolved far beyond obvious state messaging. What happens when you can't tell the difference between authentic online discourse and carefully orchestrated influence campaigns? In the shadow of China's cyber operations, a parallel battle rages across digital platforms worldwide. Xinhua News Agency, China's state-run media giant, has transformed from traditional broadcast methods into a social media powerhouse, boasting an impressive 1.43 million followers on YouTube alone. This calculated expansion of influence shapes global opinions daily across platforms where attention is the ultimate currency. The scale of this operation is staggering. China Radio International broadcasts in 61 different languages, reaching populations across the globe through carefully tailored content. In regions where internet connectivity remains limited, such as remote Pacific Island communities, traditional radio broadcasts continue delivering Beijing's narrative directly into homes and businesses. This multi-layered approach ensures complete audience coverage. What makes this information campaign particularly effective is its adaptability. Chinese propaganda employs an arsenal of digital manipulation tactics that blur the line between authentic discourse and orchestrated influence. Their playbook includes social media censorship, bot networks, human trolls, and paid influencers who present themselves as independent voices while advancing Beijing's narratives. Beijing's experimentation with generative artificial intelligence creates a digital fog of war. These technologies produce content at unprecedented scale, flooding platforms with material appearing to come from diverse sources while promoting a single coordinated narrative. During the 2022 Winter Olympics, for instance, researchers identified thousands of seemingly unrelated accounts simultaneously sharing identical positive messaging about China's human rights record, creating a manufactured consensus that drowned out critical voices. The digital battlefield extends into the physical world through direct pressure on journalists and institutions. Foreign reporters have faced explicit threats of violence for unfavorable coverage. Media outlets receive warnings that negative reporting could cost them access to Chinese markets, a devastating financial prospect for many organizations. Beijing has been known to punish foreign scholars and journalists by denying or not renewing their visas as retaliation for unfavorable reporting, creating a chilling effect on critical coverage. This combination, digital manipulation paired with real-world consequences, creates powerful incentives for self-censorship among those best positioned to provide objective analysis. The centerpiece of this influence apparatus is China's global media network. CGTN and China Daily operate in numerous languages across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Western platforms blocked within China itself. This digital iron curtain allows China to shape international opinion, while insulating its citizens from outside information. These official outlets represent just the visible surface of a much larger information iceberg. Investigations have uncovered vast networks of coordinated fake accounts, amplifying pro-Beijing narratives while attacking critics. These networks create the illusion of organic support for China's positions on contentious issues. When controversy erupts around Hong Kong, Taiwan, or Xinjiang, these influence networks flood social media with content supporting China's official position, effectively drowning opposing viewpoints through volume. The strategy overwhelms the information space until alternative perspectives become difficult to locate, creating what analysts call a manufactured reality. Recent investigations revealed massive coordinated networks, comprising thousands of accounts working in lockstep to shape global narratives about China. These networks actively counter accusations of Chinese hacking by highlighting similar Western activities or suggesting such claims are merely pretexts for anti-China policies. The scale makes traditional countermeasures increasingly ineffective. Social media platforms struggle to distinguish authentic users from sophisticated influence operations. Even when networks are removed, they quickly reconstitute under new identities, adapting like digital hydras. Cut off one head, two more appear. These information operations complement China's cyber-espionage activities. Intelligence gathered through hacking informs propaganda efforts, allowing for highly targeted messaging. Meanwhile, propaganda provides cover for espionage, positioning them as reasonable responses to Western hostility. Rather than merely promoting positive narratives about China, Beijing increasingly focuses on undermining trust in Western institutions. When U.S. officials warn about Chinese hacking, influence operations immediately highlight American cyber activities revealed in Snowden leaks, creating false equivalence that muddles public understanding. The sophistication raises profound questions about digital discourse in democratic societies. If significant portions of online conversation are manufactured by foreign influence operations, how can citizens make informed judgments? The concept of public opinion becomes problematic when opinion itself can be engineered at scale. For journalists and policymakers, this creates extraordinary challenges. Information from inside China is filtered through layers of state control, while international discussion about China is subject to manipulation. The resulting fog of uncertainty complicates efforts to develop effective responses. This information battle represents a fundamental asymmetry in the US-China relationship. While America's open society allows Chinese narratives to circulate freely, China's domestic information controls prevent equivalent American messaging from reaching Chinese audiences. This one-sided vulnerability is extensively exploited. The integration of generative AI represents the next frontier in this information battle. AI systems analyze trending topics, identify effective messaging approaches, and generate tailored content at superhuman speed. As these technologies mature, the line between authentic discourse and digital manipulation will further dissolve. Perhaps most troubling is how these operations target specific communities within democratic societies, exploiting existing divisions to foster discord. By amplifying extreme views on contentious issues, these operations exacerbate polarization and undermine the social cohesion necessary for effective democratic governance. The road ahead: building a comprehensive defense. The gaps in America's digital defense grid might be its greatest vulnerability yet. While China's threat actors operate with machine-like coordination, our response remains dangerously disjointed. It's like we're playing a strategic game where one side sees the entire board while we're only watching individual pieces. Security professionals have been sounding the alarm about this fragmentation in our cyber defenses for years. We're facing a comprehensive, coordinated assault that exploits the very architecture of our defensive systems. The patchwork nature of current responses creates what experts describe as a digital Swiss cheese effect. Holes between agency jurisdictions where Chinese hackers can operate almost undetected. This fragmentation becomes particularly alarming when considering how sophisticated Chinese hackers exploit these coordination gaps. If one agency detects unusual activity, but doesn't share that information quickly enough with others responsible for adjacent systems, attackers can pivot through these blind spots with remarkable effectiveness. Consider what happened during the 2021 SolarWinds breach. While one agency detected suspicious traffic, the critical information wasn't shared quickly enough with other departments. The attackers exploited this coordination gap, moving laterally through government systems for months before the full scope was understood. This real-world example demonstrates how fragmentation undermines our security posture. The current multi-agency responses lack cohesion and are fragmented, notes one cybersecurity report. This disjointed approach allows adversaries to operate with greater stealth and effectiveness, highlighting the urgent need for an integrated strategy. The problem isn't that we lack dedicated agencies or talented personnel. It's that our defensive landscape resembles individual firefighters tackling different corners of the same burning building. Critical infrastructure protection presents another urgent challenge. Currently, different sectors apply wildly varying standards when evaluating Chinese technology. This inconsistency creates vulnerabilities that sophisticated attackers can identify and target. What's needed are clearer guidelines for assessing risks from Chinese technology, with standardized evaluation criteria across different sectors. To combat this vulnerability, security professionals have outlined a clear recommendation. The U.S. government must publish a comprehensive risk assessment and strategy document. This would serve as a strategic roadmap for all agencies and private sector partners. The document would clearly outline specific threats, including espionage, influence campaigns, and potential cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, along with the coordinated responses planned to address them. Such a document would transform how we approach these threats. Moving from reactive firefighting to strategic planning, it would provide clarity on threat nature and necessary mitigation actions, while aligning efforts across different agencies and private sector organizations. Most importantly, it would close those dangerous gaps between jurisdictions that Chinese hackers currently exploit. The problem extends beyond our borders. Chinese cyber operators exploit regulatory differences between nations with remarkable effectiveness. International cooperation is essential for effective defense. Security experts stress the development of shared cybersecurity standards with allies to prevent China from exploiting differences in national regulations. Imagine if every sector, from energy utilities to transportation networks to healthcare systems, applied consistent standards when evaluating Chinese-made software or connected devices. This uniformity would eliminate the weakest link problem, where attackers simply target whichever sector has the most lenient standards. Standardized criteria would ensure a more comprehensive approach to identifying vulnerabilities, making our critical infrastructure significantly more resilient. By harmonizing cybersecurity standards with allies, we would create a unified front against cyber threats. This collaboration would limit China's ability to exploit regulatory differences while enhancing collective defense capabilities. When democratic nations align their digital security practices, it becomes much harder for adversaries to find exploitable weaknesses in the international ecosystem. Enhanced collaboration would enable a more proactive stance against cyber threats. When companies can rapidly share attack signatures and government agencies can provide actionable intelligence about emerging threats, the entire ecosystem becomes more responsive. This approach would allow for faster detection and mitigation of attacks, creating a more dynamic and adaptive defense. Perhaps the most underdeveloped aspect of our current strategy involves private sector partnerships. The companies experiencing these attacks daily possess invaluable frontline intelligence about attack methodologies, yet information sharing between them and government agencies remains inadequate. Security professionals emphasize that better information sharing between government agencies and companies that are on the front lines of these attacks is crucial for building effective defenses. Looking deeper into what an effective strategy might include, experts recommend developing clear assessment guidelines for data sensitivity, company ownership, and potential attack vectors. These criteria would need regular updates as threat landscapes evolve, ensuring protections remain relevant against changing tactics. Information disclosure represents another critical gap. Many critical infrastructure companies haven't fully assessed their exposure to Chinese software and connected devices. Closing this information gap through comprehensive surveys would provide policymakers with data needed to craft effective responses. A nuanced approach to mitigation measures would also strengthen our position. Instead of blanket bans on all Chinese technology, security professionals suggest developing standards for mitigation measures, such as technical solutions that prevent customer data from traveling to China and third-party auditing of software. This balanced approach would reserve outright bans for truly high-risk products, while implementing appropriate safeguards for others. All these efforts gain significant strength through international cooperation. By launching initiatives with allies to establish joint approaches to these risks, we can prevent becoming dependent on potentially compromised technologies while creating a unified front against a sophisticated adversary. As we've explored throughout this journey, the cyber competition between the US and China is reshaping global power dynamics for decades to come. This represents a long-term strategic challenge that will define international relations in the digital age. The situation grows increasingly dangerous as cyber capabilities rapidly evolve. The boundary between routine espionage and actions triggering retaliation shrinks daily. With AI accelerating this process, misattributed attacks could spark unintended escalation between these superpowers. The question isn't if these digital battles will continue, but how we manage them before catastrophe strikes.